and then you cut your sleeve separately. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're notified whenever I post a new video. My name is Silem. Today I'm going to show you guys how to cut an extended sleeve dress. So what an extended sleeve is normally you would cut your bodice and then mark your shoulder and your armhole, trace a curve and then cut that curve out. And then you cut your sleeve separately. And then you cut your sleeves separately and then attach it to the rest of the bodice. But for an extended sleeve dress or top or whatever it is, you're going to cut the sleeve together with the rest of the top or dress you're making. So if you want to see how I make an extended sleeve dress, then please keep watching.
Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm just marking a random line where I'm going to start my measurements from. It's going to help me to start marking from. So just a random line. It's going to serve as the 0 mark. And from that point, I'm just checking the length of the gown. And now I'm marking her bust point, which is 13 inches, her under bust, which is 17 inches, and her hip line, which is 23 inches. Now I'm just extending those lines. Having done that, I'm just going to divide her shoulder measurement by 2. Her shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2, that's 7.5 inches. After marking that, I'm just marking the length of her sleeve. Now her sleeve length is 8 inches and I just added 1 inch seam allowance. Now on the bust point line, I'm just dividing her bust measurement by 4 and marking that on her bust point line. I'm dividing her shape measurements by 4 and marking that on the under bust line, and I'm marking her hip measurement by 4 and marking that on the hip line. And now I'm adding 1.5 inch allowance. Doing the same for all the other measurements I had previously marked. And now I'm just connecting those lines, a very soft curve. Now her round sleeve measurement is 15 inches divided by 2, that's 7.5, and I'm adding extra 1.5 inches allowance rather. And I'm just drawing that line straight. So you can see that the extended sleeve has already formed. It's simply joining your sleeve measurements together with the rest of the bodice. And now because I want this to be a pencil gown, I took out 4 inches from the hip measurement and I marked that at that point, and then I'm marking 1.5 inch allowance as well. And I'm just connecting those lines. By removing 4 inches from the hip measurement, it gives me that pencil shape for the dress. Just extending those lines all the way to the bottom of the dress. Having done that, I'm simply cutting along the lines I just marked. Now that's done. The first part I actually marked was the front part, and now I'm just folding the fabric again so I can mark the back bits. Now I just left a little bit of allowance at the zip side, just because the back is going to have a zip and a slit at the bottom, so I left zipper allowance. But apart from that, I simply placed it on top of the matte fabric and I just traced out the same lines I cut for the front. Now for the neck measurement, the width of the neck, I want it to be 7 inches, which is divided by 2. That gave me 3.5 inches. The length of the neck as well, or the depth of the neck rather, I want it to be 3.5 inches, and that's what I marked. For the back, I want the back neck to be 2 inches, and that's what I marked. But the width of the neck would be the same with the front. So the back neck width is the same with the front neck width. The only difference between the back and the front neck is the depth. So I'm just cutting that through now with my scissors. I just want a simple round neck, and now I'm cutting open the back, paying attention or remembering that the small of your back is actually goes in, and so I took that into account when I cut the back zipper allowance. As you can see, it's not straight, just so that when I put the zipper, it doesn't have that funny bulge. Now what I'm doing is I'm marking the point where my dart is going to start and stop. From that mid fold, I marked 4.5 inches, and the dart will be 8 inches long. I marked 4.5 inches from that midpoint because when I open that up, it's going to give me 9 inches, which is like the nipple to nipple measurement. For the back, the dart will start from 8 inches from the top, and the length of the dart will be 10 inches long. I still marked from that midpoint, I still marked 4.5 inches. So now by the time I put the dart, what I would have left is 8 inches, which is the nipple to nipple measurement. Okay, I'm just tracing that line. So that's the line I'm going to mark. I'm going to actually do my dart. Now the first thing I'm doing when I start sewing is joining the two back pieces together. That's the first thing I do, just so that it's easier for me to proceed from there. Having done that, I'm just taking the darts marks that I had previously marked with my chalk, and I'm just sewing the darts down, or I'm just creating the darts. I did that for the other part as well. And now the front bits, I'm also going to put the darts in the front bit as well, the same way I did for the back bit. I'm also creating darts for the front, and this will give you that fitting. Because we have boobs, the dart actually helps to give that fitting that we actually want. So I did that. I created a dart for the second side as well, for the other side as well rather. And now I'm placing the back bits to the front bits, right sides facing. So I face the right sides together, and now I'm just joining the shoulders together. The front shoulder with the back shoulder at one side. And now, having joined the shoulders together, I just marked her actual measurements. So go ahead and mark the actual measurements of your client, or if you're making it for yourself, mark your actual measurements. I had left 1.5 inch allowance. Now I'm just sewing along my actual, or her actual measurements in this case. And I'll do the same for both sides. And when I'm done, this is what the dress looks like. You can see that the sleeve is attached to the rest of the dress, and that's how you make an extended sleeve basically. So I'm just loosening that zipper allowance part because I want to pipe the neck, or I want to hem the neck line with a bias. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm simply hemming the neckline with a bias. If you want me to make a very detailed video on how to hem a neckline with a bias, or how to hem a neckline with an interfacing, do let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be very glad to make a video on that. Having done that, I'm just going ahead to loosen that zipper allowance I had sewn earlier. Off camera, I went ahead to weave all the edges, but now I want to put in my zipper. I'm starting with the left side of the back, and that's where I'm starting to put my zip from. Again, if you want a more detailed tutorial on how to insert a zipper, this is actually an invisible zipper. So if you want a detailed video on how to insert an invisible zipper, I'll be more than glad to do that. But let me know in the comment section. because I'm really particular about making videos that you guys actually enjoy. So I don't want to make something that you wouldn't want to watch. Feel me? Having put in the zipper, I am just finishing the zipper, making sure that that excess part doesn't show. And that's what we have, guys. Basically, that's what we have. This is how to make a simple basic dress with an invisible zipper and that has an extended sleeve.